thanks for having me on, guys. This is awesome. I love gear, love talking all about it. So yeah, this is going to be really fun.
I'm so excited. You guys are, everybody, please share this out. Hit that like button. Follow these guys.
When you collaborate, you're building community. So there's so many things you can do for a business with a podcast, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Guys, how's it going?
Who was talking to you, Siri? I said the A lady. Ooh, Siri's getting frosty because I'm talking to the A people over here. And she's like,
should I eat this?
Yes. Because people really want that kind of conversation and relationship.
Yeah, and your show won't be boring. Right? You know.
Oh my God, I love you guys. Chris, you're just amazing. Jim, so are you. You guys are the best hosts ever, I think.
Just got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, car buying public of Amazon, welcome to Dealcasters Live. My name is Chris. I'm on the right side of your screen, but I'm invisible because that gorgeous gentleman on the left-hand side of the screen is doing marketing the Marine Corps way, Mr. Jim Fuse.
Happy
you
Monday.
Got a case of the Mondays. Yes.
I know it's a happy Monday.
All right.
I actually did something yesterday. I was shocked. I wrote a newsletter, and it's on LinkedIn on how to keeping ahead with video, as we do here, and something our guest definitely does. And I was pretty excited because, you know, Chris, how much I struggle to write. So it's a big step for me. You know, I even used my Marine Corps crayons to write.
What?
On my
Your Marine
computer.
Corps crayons.
Yeah, you know, Marines eat crayons. You never heard that?
Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. I'm like, is that people are madly scrambling on Amazon to purchase Marine Corps crayons right now. I'm sorry, that's not in the carousel. And for those of you who are watching on the other tubes, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, any other tube that we can add to the mix, and we're talking about Amazon and carousels, and you're like, what the heck is that? I came here to watch Bradley Vinson teach me how to make glorious graphics, and I have no idea why you're talking to me about this Amazon stuff. But Amazon is live streaming. Like, you can go live on Amazon if you're a content creator. And one of the people that is a fantastic live streamer on Amazon is Bradley Vinson, and he's coming on very shortly. But if you want to come over to Amazon, where Bradley's going to be talking about these great products and all kinds of other great things about Bradley, all you got to do is open a browser and type in this, dealcasters.live. That'll take you right here in the Amazon chat, where all of our friends are joining us very shortly as we're ramping up towards our guest. Jim, I know that you and I are huge fans of Bradley Vinson. And, you know, I was first introduced to this gentleman, I don't know, a little over a year ago. And I don't know how I stumbled on this video. And just like anything, you're going to YouTube University and you're trying to figure out how to create something. It's you know, a transparent graphic overlay for this, that, or the other. And this guy's video just kept popping up. And so I hit play on the video, and the first thing I noticed was that he was in Keynote. Keynote, which I thought at the time was like Apple's version of PowerPoint. And he was actually creating graphics, transparent graphics, overlays, all video, all kinds of stuff in Keynote, which comes with your Mac for nothing. And then I started going down the rabbit hole, and I started realizing, like, this guy does a ton of teaching for utilizing software that's free. Now, you know, don't buy Photoshop, get Photo P. It's a free, you know, software. You know, use this, use that you already have. You don't have to invest all this money. I was like, and the other thing I noticed, Jim, was just how genuine this person was. And the wonderful thing about those of you who are into live streaming, one of the great things I love about it is you can just tell if someone is genuine. You can look them in the eye when they're talking. Are they a real person, or is this just some sort of persona that they're putting on? And it was just really a great thing to be able to kind of follow that guy's journey. And now we get to have him on our show. So Jim, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him because I know that there's a lot of people here that want to see this gentleman. So I would like to introduce to you, welcome to Dealcasters Live, graphics guru, speaker, author, brand ambassador, also known as Bradley Teaches, Mr. Bradley Vinson. Welcome to the show, sir.
How's it going, guys?
Great.
Going awesome, man. Going awesome.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Man. Elevated today. I'm with my dude today, man. So everything is good.
Now you're elevating us. Let's make that straight. I mean,
well,
I remember
below you guys, but you know,
seeing you in the Ecamm fam and learning about you there. I mean, you know, wow. It's like I told you the other day. I mean, Bradley's been throwing out some fire on all the different tubes with things he's doing with Canva. I mean, you probably should just create your own graphic software, Bradley, and I think people would buy it.
Man, from your lips to my brain and ears, we'll see what's gonna happen with that. But it's been fun so far, though. It's been fun so far.
Very true.
So Bradley, let's get into this because for those who are seeing this gentleman on your screen for the first time, hold tight because after you're done, you're going to be Googling him, you're going to be going to YouTube, and you're basically going to be camping out for a couple of weeks, absorbing all of the great information. But pause before you go do that and hang out here because Bradley, what I haven't found yet is a video that kind of walks through the story of where you got here. How did we get to Bradley Teaches? Because as I said in the introduction, there's just something about you that feels like when you fire up the camera, you don't have anything that you want to get. It feels to me like you're there to give, you're there to serve. And so I'm so curious as to how we got to this point.
Yeah, I appreciate that you see serve, man, because I really consider myself a servant that just happens to help people in different ways. And oddly enough, I'll start at the end and then swing back a little bit. Bradley Teaches is probably what I consider one of the first ever community created businesses. And Bradley Teaches happened in a small part due to COVID. Just at home, not doing much. Everybody's stuck in the house, and I'm hanging out in some of the live streaming forums, and people were asking questions about issues they had making graphics or making overlays or making transitions. And I'm like, hey, let me try that. Now, I'm not brand new to graphics. I mean, I've been doing graphics since the 90s. I mean, I grew up with the internet as you know it, as you call it, Al Gore's internet, right? So when it started in 1996, I was there building websites then. So I've been with it for a while. But part of that confinement that brought me into Bradley Teaches is, I'm a speaker and teacher and trainer by trade, along with being a multimedia designer. And at the time, I was really working with the grieving community. We had gone through a tragedy in my family. And as I was trying to figure out ways to help my family heal through that process, I realized that other people didn't have resources to help them heal through bad things, right? And in that moment, I became what I would consider myself a grief advocate. So I was out speaking at churches and organizations and just helping people through hard times. And when COVID happened and we all were confined to the house, I couldn't get out and touch these people. And I had Ecamm on the back burner from years before. I'm an AppSumo junkie. And so I bought AppSumo. I bought Ecamm lifetime plan when they first brought it out years ago.
Yes.
I never really used it. I was going to work every day, right? So I didn't have time to really mess with it and use it. But I'm an AppSumo junkie, so I just buy everything. And COVID hit and I'm stuck at the house. It's like, you know what? Let me dust off this Ecamm thing. and I dusted it off and I jumped in the group and people started asking questions. And then the next thing you know, it was like, oh, thanks, Brad, for showing us how to do that. Can I just buy that from you? I said, people want to buy this stuff. Yeah. So I made a few more things, taught them a few more things. And as people asked, I kept creating. And so I stepped back a little bit and I bought the domain name Bradley Teaches. And funny thing enough, one of the pushbacks on the name was, well, that's kind of odd. What does Bradley teach? I'm like, well, Bradley can teach anything.
There you go.
And so that's kind of been fun too, just kind of dabbling in other things other than graphics. But yeah, but that's kind of the short, long story of what Bradley Teaches is and how it became what it is today, man. It's really, it was built by the community. So I know the people want what I do because they tell me what they want and I do it, right? And it's built on people's questions and people's needs, people's hang-ups, trying to figure stuff out. And I'll jump in the lab, as I call it here, at my desk and keynote and other programs, and I figure it out.
Well, and Bradley,
I
think it's fascinating too that you hit on something that's key, and it's part of why Chris and I do what we do is we want to help others. And I love what you said there, how they tell you what they want and you help them, right? It's not like I'm going to tell you what I think you should do. It's like, hey, let me help you figure it out. And I think it seems to be working really well for you. And I know we're excited that you're going to be joining us in Orlando at the end of May for an actual Amazon day.
It's going to be fun, man. That's going to be fun. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. I mean, I tell people it's like, I feel like I've lassoed a rocket because every day I just come here and I check emails and it gives me something else to do for my business, right? It's like, hey, I was wondering if you can do this. It's like, well, let's see. And I jump in and start doing stuff, man. So it's just fun, man. And there's no stress. I mean, it's just fun, man. And I just dig what I'm doing. And whenever I can't figure out what the next thing is I should do, I just hang out in the forums and people tell me what I should do, right? I just go back there
there's so much to unpack there, but first and foremost, it's like, when someone wants to put together a show, and there's a lot of people out here. I noticed Doc Rock's in the chat. In it to win it. Tina, our new friend here, is in the chat. We've got Gabriel on chiming in on LinkedIn. If you're a content creator, if you're someone that's maybe starting a podcast, starting a live show, wanting to develop a business, I always start with in my consulting business with everyone is once you know who your audience is, you find out what their problems are. And that's exactly what you're talking about is you're going to sit down. What do people need help with? Right. And it's like if people need help with graphics and you're pretty good at graphics, well, what specifically do they need help with? That's your content. Right. There's your show. People want to give you money to do those things. And if you're not to serve people and to make money doing it is really like it sounds simple. But for some reason, Bradley, for a lot of people, it's not simple. Why do you think it's not simple for some people?
Well, I think it was funny because I used to go to this chiropractor that was a wellness doctor. And he told me one day the same thing works for everything. And if you want to lose weight, eat better and exercise. Everybody knows that, but we just don't do it, right? You don't want to be broke, spend less and save more. Everybody knows that, they just don't want to do it. And so to be successful in business, give people what they want and don't argue with them. So if you happen to be like, it's like when I lived in Louisiana, I don't know if anybody remembers the blue dog guy. And he did all these paintings and it was a blue dog. So it was a blue dog drinking coffee and a blue dog sitting on the bridge. Everything had a blue dog in it. And people would razz on him like, oh, that's cheesy. That's just a blue dog. So this other guy made a business doing paintings of a red cat. And then he blew up, right? And it's like, just give people what they want. He didn't argue with nobody. He just kept making blue dogs, right? And so because people were buying it. And it's the same thing with graphics, right? And I tell people this all the time. I'm not anything special. it's only so many ways you can cut a hole in a rectangle. I mean, that's what an overlay is, you know? So why overcomplicate it? Okay, you want one with square edges? I'll make you one. I'm not going to sit up on this perch and say, well, that's beneath me because I have 30 years of graphic design experience. Dude, if you need a rectangle cut out of a rectangle, I'm going to make you one. Now, I prefer to show you how to make one so you can make the next one yourself. But if you want me to cut a rectangle out of a rectangle, I'll make you one or show you how. And I'm going to keep it moving. I'm not going to care that you made yours purple and my favorite color is blue. Keep it moving, you know, just make people happy.
This dude right here, you're much too humble, man. You're much too humble. I do agree with you on one point. Is like when it comes to goods and services, right? There's a lot of people that do what you do. There's a lot of people that do what I do. There's a lot of people that do what Jim does, and there's a lot of people that are watching that do what everyone's doing. The only difference is you. Mm-hmm. The only difference between what you're selling and what that person is selling is you. Indeed. And so my voice is not for everyone. All of our voices is not for everyone. But the more we're out there talking and being, the more people are going to not, be into it, but exponentially higher people will be into it. And one other thing too is like, Jim and I pride ourselves in, and it's mostly related to live streaming and podcasting and sort of, some video and audio software, is we always are testing stuff out. And lots of times when we're dealing with clients, they'll say, can you do this, this, and this? And right away, my mind and Jim's mind say, nope, we can't do that with this software. We can't do this with the software. But what do we say? We say yes. We say, yes, we can do it. And then we spend the time to put that thing together. We cobble this and we cobble this and we cobble this and we put it together. And it feels to me like that's how you work with graphic software, because you don't it's not just one size fits all, and you don't really necessarily use the software the way that company may have intended it to be. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially with Keynote and other applications. But what's fun, man, is that, I have all the guru stuff, right? And the fancy where, I got all that stuff, right? I spend too much money every month on Adobe software. I got it all. But it's like the average person doesn't have that. So to me, that's my new challenge. How do I make something that's free look like Photoshop? How do I make something that's free look like Final Cut Pro? And it doesn't always do it all the time, but it's close enough for that end user not to have to use Final Cut Pro, right? And to me, that's my challenge. But in that, I can now get down to what the fundamentals of good design are. Because I tell people all the time, right? When you get intimidated by the software like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, if you're doing page layout, blah, 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 you let the software spit something back out at you because you're intimidated by the software. To me, every software package is no different than a pen, a pencil, a screwdriver, or a hammer. It's a tool. So I go into it saying, this is what I want this thing to do. How do I make this thing do that? And so if I can give people the creative flow to say, hey, I want this to be in the top right corner and, animate down to the right. How do I make Keynote do that versus, oh, let's just pick move and whatever Keynote spits out is what I'm gonna take, right? And so there's a method to the madness, and I'm trying to make people be creative and do their own thing, but not let the software get in the way. And so that's the fun in it, man. I mean, because I could just, quite frankly, I could just go buy a Final Cut Pro template, make it blue for you, and export it. I can do that. But I would prefer to show you how to do that in Keynote. So maybe next month you might want it to be green. I don't want to sell you the blue one. I want to show you how to design, or sell you that design that you can make your own. And so that's the challenge that I love with it, kind of pushing all that stuff to the side and getting to the core of what's good.
It seems like it's that whole, right, teach a man to fish, right? And it seems like, and I think we see it all the time because we're in all these different groups and these different live streaming platforms. And it's like everybody always wants hey, can you guys just provide this for me? Or it's not a part of the software, but it's like, you figured it out. We figured it out. Like, look, you can do a lot of this stuff you people want if you just take a little time to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's fascinating because it creates some business opportunities because people are like, well, I'd rather just buy the template than figure it out myself and save whatever amount of money. But you've done, yeah. I mean, I had never thought of using Keynote, and I haven't yet, but you definitely have me thinking about it because I see the things you do with it, and it's like, I've got a Mac, why not?
Yeah, and it's fun, man. And when you think about that, some people just would rather buy it. At some level, it hadn't made me completely, it hadn't made me pull back on doing tutorials. But sometimes it's like, okay, the work I put into creating this thing, maybe I won't do a tutorial on that, right? Maybe I'll just say, here's a product that was derived from that research. And I'm kind of moving into that more now than, because I don't see anyone as competition, quite frankly, and that's not an arrogance thing,
No,
but everybody has their thing, right? Because even right now, my YouTube channel has 3,000 subscribers. I have more people than that in my neighborhood, right? And so for me to be as arrogant to think that because I have 3,000 followers, there's not another guy out there doing exactly what I'm doing somewhere else, right? The pie is big enough for everyone. So I want to make room for everyone, but I want people that are trying to do what I do, put in some work, right? Not just, oh, let me just buy this from Brad and make it green and resell it. And so I want you I'll put in some work, and I'm all for giving away the cheat codes. It's right. This is what I figured out. Work it this way, right? This is what I figured out. Skip that part. Do this, do that. The software has a hiccup here. You want to think about this and think about that. So I'm all for giving out the cheat codes, man. It doesn't bother me at all because I have my audience, and whatever that's going to grow into is what it's going to grow into. But I think the way that my business was built keeps me at a level where I'm just not competitive with people because my audience is waiting for me to create something for them to buy. And that's just crazy. They're like, well, when are you coming out with something else? I can't think of nothing else. What did you want? Oh, well, I love some of these things, so I just make some of those things. And sometimes I'll just give it to them because that person that gave me the idea, why not reward them? I never would have thought of doing that unless you would have asked me. So I just give it to them, right? And then if somebody else happens to buy it, cool. Pays me for my time, and I just keep it moving, So it just kind of keeps it going, man. And I don't stress over it. I would love for the business to be bigger at some point, and I believe it'll get there. But I'm still in that, give it away mode, and whatever comes in as cash is all good.
Yeah, I think it's the 80-20 rule, right? I mean, you still have all these people, 80% of them are never going to like say, oh, I'm going to do what Bradley's doing. They're going to be those 80% is like, I'm going to keep paying Bradley because there's other things I would rather do with my time than learn graphic design. I know what I want it to look like. And he can do it a lot quicker than I can, all those hours it would take. Because I know Chris spends a lot of time with Final Cut Pro doing video stuff. I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface on that. You've done the same thing with graphics. It's like, one thing I did learn when I was in the Marines is like, it's better sometimes to delegate to the person that knows how to do it than try to do it all yourself.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think a lot of times what you see is, there's a very popular piece of software out there, starts with a C and ends with ANVA. And, they have some really wonderful designers, and they have some really great templates, and I use it. I'm in there every day. And it's great. But I think what happens a lot of times is people will pull up a template and they just change the words. They might even leave the colors. They don't really add much of anything. They try to put their own photo in there, but it might, kind of looks like they just kind of bolted it on. And so there's some basic design skills that are involved there. But what happens is that because it's such a popular piece of software, you've got a lot of people that are using those templates, and you could just pop open YouTube and start scrolling through thumbnails and see exactly which ones were using it. And so I think it's important, and I'd love for you to expound on this, Bradley, is that it's important to take these things, and there's nothing wrong with starting with a template, but it's important to make these things your own for your own brand. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean exactly, man. Because there's tails, right, with any software package. But when you get to the point where people don't even take the time to change the colors, right, or move that little thing that's vibrating over here, just move it to the other corner. So you and the other 800 people don't have the thing flash on the right hand side, right? So it's those kind of things that I've learned to stop looking at, because that, as a designer, that will irk you. But I tend to believe that my community are a little more savvy and want to be a little bit more creative than that, which also have them coming to me, right, to make templates and things like that. Because quite frankly, I was never a Canva person. I was, back in the day, I was a graphics snob, right? And I remember when Publisher came out, and
Microsoft
even the
Publisher.
word desktop publishing. When that first came out, as a graphic designer, that was the scourge of the industry. But then that has its place, right? It has a place for somebody's secretary or somebody's assistant to do an ad. There's a place for that, right? So when I matured, I was like, hey, I wouldn't be doing that because I don't have the time and I'd be too expensive. Why not do that in-house, right? So Canva's that same kind of thing. But I'm always trying to maximize stuff. So just about a week and a half ago, I finally started using Canva, but then I started making my own templates and started developing new ways to do stuff. Even, instead of like the regular Canva thumbnail template, I've created a whole new way to do it using Canva's built-in frames. But I make my own frames for Canva with this new method that I created, because I'm a researcher too. I'm kind of see how other people are doing stuff. It's like, that's not cool. That's not good. That's not stable. Let Bradley teachers get on it, right? So I jumped in and did that, man. So now the doors are flying open in front of me now as I speak on new and cool things I'm going to be doing with that. So
I was hoping you were going to get to that, because I'm ready to give you some money for that, because you and I have had some side chats about that, because I saw that. I know you've got a Facebook group. I'm not sure if you posted it there, or you and I was like, what? I had that look when a dog hears a funny noise. I was like, wait a minute, how did you see what? And so then my mind goes like, well, if I had a frame like that was customized for logos, what can that do for my video? Not only my graphics, but my videos as well. And I think a lot of people don't realize I do a lot of video, but a lot of what I do, I create graphics in Canva, Easel, Photoshop, I use all of those to kind of cobble together what I sort of envision for either our brand or for other brands that I'm working with. And I think when those that are watching and listening right now need to lean into this gentleman, because it's if you just make that extra effort to think about the vision of the brand that you are, and set yourself apart and say, you know what, if this doesn't do this for me, find out how. And take a little extra time, because some people they don't love to work with graphics, Bradley. They're not as into it as us, and that's okay.
And it's fun. I mean, it takes all kinds to make the world go around, right? But what's crazy with this is that, to me, sometimes it's surprising that the software doesn't automatically do some things, right? So I'm not a programmer, so I can't get into a programmer's mind per se. But it's like, if you just did this, your software could be boom, right? But sometimes they just get laser focused. But to me, that's even a plus for me, right? Because I'm just out here on the outer edge of their focus, doing something with their software that they never thought they could do with it. And I'm carving my niche now, right? Especially, think about, like you were saying, the Keynote thing. Nobody's doing video graphics with Keynote. They're making presentations. And so I'm not saying I'm the first person to ever do that, because people were asking, how do you do it with Keynote, right? So I wasn't the first guy to do it. But I think jumping in neck deep into it, I might have been one of those first guys, right? And so the same thing now with Canva, they have great templates and things like that. But my mind was thinking, okay, well, how do I help people not just put a blue rectangle in the corner and make it green? How about if they could put a picture in there? How about if they could put a video in there? And so when I started doing these themes instead that are fully made out of frames, and frames is like this, those that use Canva, frames are like those little boxes or whatever else that you can put other stuff in, right? Versus just a shape or an element. But you can put anything in a frame, right? So now it's like, okay, so now I'll do a thumbnail layout that's not element rectangle pieces. It's instead frames. So now I can put a picture in that circle, or a video in that circle, or a color in that circle, or a background in that circle. Whereas before, all you could put in there is make it a color, right? And so those are the things I'm thinking about now. So square video overlays that are fully frame based, thumbnails that are fully frame based, Instagram reel overlays and frames that are completely frame based. Then you have the other little stuff, right? Oh, a pumpkin or a silhouette of a man dancing, the little cheesy stuff like that. But all those things, I figured out a better way, a better hamster wheel for that. And so it's been fun the last couple of days just making these things and seeing if they're going to work in Canva. And so far, so good. And I've been giving people little samples here and there, and they're digging them, man. So yeah, I'm about to actually take a break next week because my family's going on vacation. But after that, it's fully into this Canva thing, and we're gonna blow the doors off this thing, man. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I just customize logos too. You see this logo that's above my head here, Bradley. I mean, that would look really sweet with one of those Canva things. So I may have to.
And you can
have to jump in and
right. Oh yeah, we can do that, man. That's easy.
Well, yeah, like I'm gonna get the course. I'm gonna jump. Or Gumroad or wherever I need to go for that. But we're excited because there is going to be a Amazon influencer day at VidFest in Orlando on May 27th. It's a Friday. And Bradley, we're excited that you are going to be speaking there at VidFest. And I know that there was a number of topics that you had submitted to speak on. Have you? Can you give us some sort of kind of what you may be? I mean, is this Canva thing? Are you ready to unveil that, or probably be unveiled before you even get down there? Well, so what's going on at VidFest for you?
Yeah, some different things, man. Most of them are going to be kind of how-tos, hands-on, working with podcasters and other video creators, like making the audio file kind of thing with a little jumping audio and stuff like that. How to make that in Canva completely for free, right? How to do square video overlays or vertical video overlays, and enhancing those and working those branding, just in a general sense, right? Like, what are the 5 graphics that everyone needs to brand their videos to their fullest extent, right?
Awesome.
So just different things like that. And then just general kind of like panelist type things, right? Like, being successful on Amazon with something other than just a straight sales broadcast, right? Because I do art shows for my Amazon lives, and we do Procreate and iPad and stuff like that. Or I'll do games. So things that my family and I like to do. I used to do camping. And so I'm not really stuck on a particular thing with Amazon Live. But I love making videos, man. And, kind of going all the way back to the grief content really quick. I tell people all the time when they're in this world, the longer you wait to put something out, the longer you wait to make content, somebody could be out there suffering. Because it's content that only you can provide that can meet a need for someone that you're not creating because of, perfection procrastination, or I can't get the blue just right, or, I got to get another polo shirt with a logo. No, just get it out there. And so if anything, it's kind of encouraging people and helping them to know that everything is beta. Get it out. You can always redo it later, but get that content out and trying to make that that curve as straight as possible from I have some content to going live. I think if anything, that's one of the biggest things for me. So any of those topics, all those topics, man, I'm there for it, man. I'm just there ready to hang out and serve people and get some more content out in the interwebs, man.
You see what I'm saying? Like total genuine human being right here. I can listen to this all day. And, you know, like you talk about, you know, obviously the graphics that you have are, you know, some of the highest level type stuff that I've seen in terms of what you can use for your live stream. But like, I think your mindset is similar to ours, and there's this acronym that Craig Rochelle uses, and it's called GETMO, and it stands for Good Enough to Move On. And you know, Bradley Vinson didn't get to this point in his graphics journey like that. I mean, it took mistakes, it took failures, and it took learning from those failures, and it took another rep and another rep and another rep and another rep to get where we're at with that mindset of servitude. Man, it's inspiring, man. And you know, this is just killer stuff. And hopefully this platform, whether it's Amazon or whether it's all the other platforms that you're on, you know, I'm so glad you had your entire city subscribe to you on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah.
Jim and I haven't even gotten our streets. So, you know.
Yeah. It's been good, man. I have a small but very committed audience, and I never minimize that, man. Because I mean,
well, that reminds me, you know, that goes back to what Pat Flynn talks about, right? You want those super fans. It doesn't matter if you got 50,000 followers and they don't engage with you. I'd rather have, you know, 50 that care than 10,000 that don't. And I mean, I know you definitely got it. I mean, I know Chris and I are, you know, we're fanboys, right? Can we say that, Chris, on Amazon? Are we allowed to say that?
It's mutual. It's mutual. It's mutual. Yeah, I love you guys, man. I mean, because I gravitate to people that serve, no matter what they do. If you're trying to help improve someone else's life or trying to empower somebody, because it's so funny, man. Even when I do my speaking engagements, I'll teach people how to do finances. And it's like, you know what? Everybody raise your right hand. And I deputize the audience. And it's like, the stuff I have taught you today, you are now free and obligated to go teach somebody else, because you're going to be touching somebody I will never see. So how dare I hold this content and say, don't use it. Don't give your friend this overlay you bought from. I don't care, man. All this stuff, just you're gonna be dealing with people in your life that I would never meet. And just knowing that this little overlay you gave a friend that couldn't buy it, and it turned their whole world around because it was a rectangle cut out of a rectangle. How dare I say, you know, don't help your friends with that stuff? It's like that those things don't matter, man. It's just how you impact people's lives. So. And I always lean into people that are doing similar. And so, so you guys are high on my list, man. I appreciate you guys for what you do.
Yeah,
but Bradley,
rectangle out of a rectangle. I think that needs to be like on your business card.
Right? Do people have business cards now? But that's a whole nother story. Bradley, you talked about websites. So do you still do websites, or you kind of like us? At some point, you're like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't really do them anymore. It depends on the project, quite frankly, because I'm at that part of my life, professionally and personally, where my time is very valuable, and I don't do a lot of grind kind of work anymore. And websites can be a grind. And I think the person that I will be dealing with needs more than what I'm willing to put into that. So it's just more so, what kind of time is it going to take? What kind of client are you going to be, right? Are you going to be like I got to hold your hand and you want to call me at 10 o'clock at night? I'm not built for that anymore. Right. I'm just being honest with people. So I'll turn stuff down. I mean, but you know, so-and-so has a battered women's shelter, right? And they can't find anybody. So even if I can't do it, maybe I can find them a designer or help them be educated enough when they find that person that they don't get hoodwinked or whatever else. And so I still do those kind of things. but just hands-on, I'm gonna do your website for you. That's way far between right now.
Makes perfect sense. So Bradley, is there anything, like, since we're here, that you might want to share with our audience? Did you want to do a demo of any sort, or?
I'm open to do anything, man. If people want to tell me what they want to see, I didn't really open up any kind of stuff today, but we can talk through it or whatever else.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool either way. I just realized I left my iPad downstairs, so it won't be a Procreate demo, though I do
Okay.
have some of my gear from that we
Okay.
can talk about. Yeah, but but I mean, what kind of demo, man? I don't know if the audience is really video graphics people or kind of general graphics people, or want to
We've
talk
got
tech.
Yeah,
or
we've got a
graphics.
few. I know we have a few Amazon creators
Okay.
in the chat, and I know we've got some people over on LinkedIn, and so I think some of it, like, maybe they're creating some thumbnails or doing shoppable videos. Maybe some ideas there that can help them do something impactful.
Yeah. I mean, and even if it's not showing you how to make a graphic, not that I'm avoiding showing you how to make a
Oh, yeah.
graphic, but just kind of as static things that you can do for sure. The number one thing you can do right off the bat is do some kind of simple branding for yourself, whether it's an icon or a word or something that's always on the screen to identify yourself, always. And because I do a lot of tutorial videos right now, I don't put a lot of graphics on my screen right now other than what I call my Bradley bubble that pops up when I'm doing my tutorials. But as you see here behind me, I have permanent branding, right?
Yep.
That's back there mounted on my wall. And you can't clip out any 5-second portion of my video and not see my branding. So you have to be at that level with your branding, and it can be simple. Don't take all day on it. The two easiest colors to use are black and white. Those are the two most high contrast colors you can use, period. So you have a dark background, use white. Got a light background, use black. And just put something on the screen. A little icon, your web address, whatever else. Use sans serif fonts, which means no feet. Sans, no serif feet. So don't use Times New Roman. Don't use Palatino. Use Helvetica, use Futura, stuff like that. Because right now, you go to any social media page. If you're on Amazon right now, if you're on LinkedIn, it don't matter where you are right now. Look at the fonts that site uses.
No feet.
Sans serif, no feet. And there's a reason for that. Number one, you're not reading a page in a magazine. You're on screen. And because of the light and how it fluctuates, it's harder to read serif-based fonts. And everybody else has figured that out for all these social media sites and video sites. We need to figure it out as a people putting stuff on the screen, right? And so stuff like that, right? So that little simple kind of branding thing. A lot of people talk about lower thirds and can you make a lower third graphic? So I'll tell you this, a lower third graphic is not the title of that graphic. Lower third is a space on the screen. It's the lower third portion of the screen. So that's a misnomer that a lot of people have. So you could put anything down there. As you see right now, it's almost in the lower eighth of the screen, but it's that ticker, right? That's a lower third. My name and title right now is a lower third. It's just in that area of the screen. Bold colors, simple fonts, icon, good to go. So if anything, I would tell anybody trying to make any kind of stuff, simple, straightforward, one color, maybe two colors at the most, bold, bottom right-hand corner, keep it moving. Call to actions for your audience. Have things in that lower third like they have here, stuff that you don't want to have to keep saying over and over and over, put it in the lower third. Call attention to it, then keep moving. And then people will read it, and stuff like that, right? So it's all those kind of things, right? And I tell, no matter what kind of graphics you make, and I'm a graphics guy, the graphics are never the most important thing on that screen. You are. Your graphics are only there to enhance your message. So a lot of people get stuck on the graphics and forget about this part. This is where all the action is, my eyes and mouth. So work that and let the graphics enhance what you're saying. I'd rather somebody have a blank screen with just them on it versus have a bunch of graphics that are meaningless, right? So that's the thing. Content first, let the graphics enhance your content, and everything will work itself out. Yeah, but we can definitely, I mean, if we just want to make something, we can make something. But yeah, but I think
Well, I mean, that's some great. No, that's some great advice. Maybe what
Oh,
we
it's
could talk
money.
about is what are some of the tools? Because I know we have some in the carousel that you use. Maybe we could talk about that since we, maybe weren't. I mean, I know you could adjust, but let's
Yeah.
talk about some of those tools that you like to use that have helped you. Because Chris is the same way. Chris got all kinds of crazy tools he started using.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
you
as
find
far as
really
right now, as far as Amazon is concerned, one of the tech tools, one of my favorites, outside of the iPad, obviously, and the Apple Pencil, which are the main tools of my Procreate classes. One of the add-ons, and let me go to my overhead cam here because I think I have it.
awesome.
And actually, my overhead cam is one of my tech tools. But this little device right here, which is I can't pronounce that, so don't ask me. Let me turn that off. My bad. I forgot I had my little bubble on. But
That's
that's
all right.
actually
Leave it
my Bradley bubble, right? So that's the
Built
most
in Keynote.
Yeah, I made that in Keynote.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So what type of file is that? And that's an eCam.
Well, actually, the graphic is a movie file with a transparent background. I exported as a video out of Keynote. So I made it all in Keynote, animated in Keynote, exported out with a transparent background, then added to eCam. So this is really my basic overhead shot that I use, right? But this is actually a Procreate keyboard that I use, and it has really good shortcuts on it. Now, I like to give the positives and negatives to everything that I use because I'm an interface guy. I like about 95% of the buttons. Some of the buttons, I wish they would have been something else. But I really like how they have it set up. It would be great if at some point they actually have software to go with this so you can reprogram some of the buttons. But it is definitely a easy tool to use. And I usually have it next to my iPad. So I'm working on my pencil here. Then I'll click on, the wrench or the zoom in and out. And so it's a really good kind of keyboard tool. Some people put it like this with their iPad here, and they kind of work it this way. But I love it.
Is it programmable, just like a loop deck or something?
No, it's not programmable at all. All the functions are built in, and the little symbols here are what they are, right? So that's a color wheel, undo, redo, paintbrush, eraser. So that's physically what that is for Procreate. So it's the iPad keyboard specifically to be used with Procreate. So you have your white balance and stuff like that. I would have rather this had been the move tool versus the stuff inside of that control panel, but it's pretty good. I like it for the shortcuts, and I'm using it more and more now in my art classes. And actually, the camera that you're looking at this thing with is my new Sony that I'm using. So I love that. The ZV-1. And it's actually attached to an old mic arm, right? And so And so, I make stuff work, man. It's just like I use software that for its not intended purpose.
Yeah, until you get like I got, which is an old Ulanzi, which I have in the carousel, which is a nice little thing for your overhead. But you're using ZV-1. This is how good your main camera is. You're using your ZV-1 as your overhead. That's my ZV-1 is my main camera. So thanks for giving me gas right now.
He just gave me a gift idea because both my daughter and my brother are learning Procreate. So now I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go get him that little.
Right.
Yeah,
Jim, I know a place where you can get it.
Right.
Yeah, I know the perfect spot where you can pick one of those up.
That's right.
But my main camera that I'm looking at right here is actually a Lumix G7. So that is my main camera, and I used to use something else as my overhead. I don't want poo-poo products. So I used to use something else, but it's what I would call foot focus, right? So I never could get the thing right, and I also teach people how to do Bible journaling, and I paint on my canvas. And without the autofocus, I would just have to readjust the arm up and down. But with the ZV-1, wherever I'm at is in focus, and so that's why I switched to that camera. And I'm repurposing that other camera. Actually, my grandson will be using that for making his YouTube videos. And
Nice.
so, yeah, so it's not all the way out. Yeah, but I had to move it from this setup. What battery do I don't use?
Yeah.
I don't use. Oh, I'm actually starting to read comments now. My bad.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
But
I was about to
I don't
ask
use
anyway.
batteries at all. I am a hot wire, plug everything in kind of guy. So I'm actually using a dummy battery. It's a aftermarket for the ZV1. Oh, one thing I wanted to let people know about the ZV1, because I give the pros and cons. You cannot close the battery door if you use a dummy battery. But I was also able to find a bracket that gave me a different connection point at the bottom of my ZV1. So now the door can actually be flapped open like it's flapping open right now. And it still allows me to connect my my mic arm and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't squeeze the wire. So yeah, and I can actually look that up I forgot I might even be mentioning that. I could probably look it up in my past purchases and let you know what kind of device it is.
Is it by U-Rig?
I think so. It's the RO54. I see a serial number on it, but I can't think of who makes it. But I could probably look it up real quick.
Now, Bradley, with the Panasonic, do you have that plugged into a cam link, or you have it done some other way?
My Lumix?
Yes.
Yeah, the Lumix is through a cam link that I'm running into pluggable. I have a pluggable multi-tap. My ZV1 is hot wired directly into my iMac
Okay.
from USB to USB-C.
Right.
So that's how I'm using that.
So you're not using a docking station. That's straight into the computer into one of those.
The pluggable is a docking station.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm using a display link, and it has those connections on it. But my Sony is directly into my Mac. So one is in a dock, one is not.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've got a shot here of the ZV1 with the dummy battery. You see how you have to get this bracket. This is by U-Rig that fits a ZV1, and then you get
that's the exact one I have. That's it. Yep.
And then the dummy battery goes in there. And the reason why, for those that are, it's one of the things that the ZV1, which is available, the E10 is not, unfortunately, is that that's one of the things that they changed when they came out with the E10. But I mean, a dummy battery's relatively inexpensive, and you could just plug it in, and you don't want to run down your battery and have it. I'm like you, Bradley. It's like I don't want to. Like, you never know when the live stream is going to go down because a battery goes out, or a podcast, or whatever that you're doing. You want to be in control of that as much as you have power. And I guess you can even do that, right? Do you do like a backup generator or anything in your house?
Nah, I don't do that. I use power strips that have surge protectors on them. But yeah, to me, man, if the power goes out, I'm not meant to be online that day. It's like I'm not stressing it, man. I keep it simple, man, because right now, my power strip is at the end of my foot right here, right? So I have all my camera gear on one power strip. Then I have my computer and stuff on another power strip. So my computer I run all day long no matter what. But when I decide to go live, I just click this switch on, camera comes on, Rode comes on, ZV1 comes on. I know that's my live power. And when I get done, I flip it off, my ring light goes off, cameras go off, and my field monitor goes off, and I'm back to just working at my computer. And so
Are you saying you're not gonna control anything with voice activation with that the woman that starts with A? We're here on Amazon. No, I'm kidding.
I'm simple, man. It's like I don't do much. I don't do a bunch of wireless stuff. I want everything plugged in, if I can.
What about your sound? What's your sound setup? How do you?
I'm using a Rodecaster Pro, and I'm using the Shure SM7B. Because one thing I learned, even though I'm a visual guy and I'm doing a bunch of graphics, if you don't sound good, people ain't gonna sit there and watch it. I don't care how good your video is.
Amen.
And so that was where I was lacking, quite frankly, when I first started, because this wasn't my intent, right? I had the little blue snowball, then I had the podcaster mic, then it sounded like I was inside of a tin can. And one, somebody that's a very good friend of mine, he said, "Hey man, I love your videos. He said, but sound is where you need to be working on next. And I took it to heart. I didn't take account to it. I was like, you know what? If I was sounding better, I could probably really then be, 8 out of 10, right? If I was sounding better. And so I when I lock that sound in, man, I'm good to go now.
That's
So,
awesome. Now,
I think it's
do you
the
use
absolute most important thing
Yeah.
is sound, without a doubt.
when you switch
Go ahead,
those cameras, you use a Stream Deck?
No, I have a Stream Deck. I program for the Stream Deck. I make graphics for the Stream Deck. But my Stream Deck is basically a paperweight right now. I even have the screensaver, the custom Bradley Teaches logo screensaver on my Stream Deck, and I don't use it. But I'm getting better. I plan on kind of getting back into it. But I use my regular keyboard because I only really have 3 or 4 scenes. Because like I said, I'm teaching. So it's me on screen, me with a shared screen of Keynote, or me and overhead. That's kind of my 3 looks in general. And sometimes I'll combine the overhead shot with the screen share shot.
Right.
But I have those, 4 scenes maybe?
Yeah, so it's not that big a deal for you to just click the switch, right? That
Yeah.
makes sense.
And I set up everything beforehand. Now, if it's anything, I'm a over, setupper, whatever you want to call that person, right? I get everything set up, make all my graphics 2 days ahead, do a dry run of the show in my head before I do it. Even when I do recorded tutorials, I do dry run tutorials before I record my tutorial.
That's smart though. That's smart.
I just prepare like that. And then when the show is on, I've already done it 3 times in my head. So the show's going to be smooth, right? So if Procreate breaks or I click the wrong button, typically the audience never knows because it's like, oh, I meant to do that. And I'll just click it anyway and be like, oh, yeah, my bad. Let's go with this one. So it's like, yeah. I mean, every show is a live show, man. I used to do church image magnification. That's what they used to call it, right? Because basically you're blowing up the picture on the screen. So you're magnifying the picture. That's where image magnification came from. So I was part of the image magnification ministry, and every church service is a live show. And anything can happen, right? Slides break, microphones go off, a light bulb pops during the sermon. Just keep it moving, man. And so I kind of bring that same mentality into this. If something breaks, it just broke. See y'all tomorrow. I'll jump back online later. Yeah, have a good night. It's the same work tonight. My wife said, my wife forgot I'm doing a video tonight, and she says I'm supposed to take her out to dinner. All right, y'all. Maybe I'll jump back on at 10 o'clock when my wife says I can get back on. But if not, we're done for the night. Maybe I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Priorities, man.
Yeah, life goes on, man. It's in the bigger scheme of things, this is just this is 1 hour out of my day live video, man. And kind of keep it moving, have fun, man, and don't take it. And that's what's so great about this, man, not to keep being circular about it, is that Bradley Teaches is a very low stress part of my life. And I'm a volunteer chaplain with the fire and police departments here. So I see people at the worst moments of their life, typically. I work in the grieving community, so you know what that entails. And so that's heavy stuff. But when I can do Bradley Teaches, man, it's all light. I mean, it's like no stress. I'm chilling out with some friends and hanging out and make some folks laugh and have a good time. And it's just a good kind of freeing time, man. So how dare I let Bradley Teaches stress me out when it's just graphics and I'm doing other serious stuff in my life that's, yeah.
Now, Bradley, going to that, do you actually have a show that you do on a routine basis that people wanted to tune in, or is it something that's more kind of depends?
You mean with the Bradley Teaches thing?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm usually pre-recorded tutorials. And so I try to upload a new tutorial every week to the Bradley Teaches YouTube channel. Here on Amazon, I do a Procreate for right now. I'm doing traditional art. I'll be adding that in a couple of months. But right now I'm doing Procreate art classes on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. And so we're doing different things with Procreate, man. We did graffiti art one night, and then we did kind of what I call the event maps, like our first kiss, our favorite restaurant. Those little maps. They got a little heart on it. So I showed people how to do those a couple of weeks ago. And last week, I forgot what we did last week. But tomorrow we're going to be doing kind of cut paper designs. Oh yeah, last week we did mandalas, right? And so we're just doing like different cool stuff for Procreate for non-artists, non-designers. I want everybody to have fun with it, right? And if you are a full legitimate artist, you can still have some fun with that too. But I'm not trying to show people how to do the right shape of an eyeball and, put texture on a peach. I'm not, whatever. Let's make a cool map about your favorite restaurant, And so we're just kind of having a good time and letting people not have their iPad be a paperweight, right? Do some cool stuff with it. So I'm doing those on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. here on Amazon. And I'm going to start doing traditional art in a couple of months with, watercolors. And I do Bible journaling, showing people how to kind of dive into scripture and do art around their Bible. So all kinds of just cool, crafty, creative stuff like that. And so, yeah, that is a weekly show now that I do on Amazon. So, yeah, I sell some stuff, but it's mostly helping people be creative. They're helping to buy some stuff. That's cool too. So.
And so where does Bradley hang out on when you're online? I mean, other than like when you do your YouTubes or.
Wow. Probably in Ecamm group, just kind of general live streamers groups, because there's a lot of live streaming software companies, and I'm kind of in all of their groups, kind of just doing stuff. I'm kind of starting to hang out in the Canva groups now. I go to Clubhouse every now and then with another good friend of ours, Monty Weaver.
Yes. Yeah.
So whenever he jumps into Clubhouse, I jump in with him. We talk about branding and graphics and stuff like that. And yeah, man, I'm just I don't really hang out on social media without a purpose.
Right.
So yeah, but I jump in and I do some of my grief work on not LinkedIn, but on Instagram. I do grief related reels on there, little short videos. So I'm not really a social media just for social media's sake kind of person. Yeah, but if I'm in a group, it's more so a group of people that are doing something, and I try to add my input where I can. So whatever that group is.
Awesome. Well, we've shared the shop page for Bradley here in the chat in Amazon, and also over on LinkedIn. I put it in there as well, because you definitely want to follow that if you're wanting to learn Procreate. Here's a great way to start to get into it. So I think that's awesome as well. So yeah, this has been, and it's funny you mentioned Monty, because Chris and I just happen to be having a conversation at 7 p.m. tonight, I think, on Monty's YouTube channel. Is that right, Chris?
That is correct, Jim. That is correct. This will be show number 4 for me today.
And I plan on being there, razzing you guys from the
okay. Well, we expect you to. And so, Bradley, this has been awesome. Thank you so much and we knew that you would be here, and we knew that you would give, and you just exceeded even those expectations. And yeah, I mean, Miss Eileen's here saying, Bradley, you're a godsend to many, and I couldn't agree any more than what she has. Yeah, what she has to say. And just to touch on the perspective angle that you talked about earlier, I think that's important for us, because a lot of times you get caught up in your own self sometime, and you're trying to get your shoppable videos together and your thumbnails, and I got to get my courses together and all this stuff. But like when you're dealing with stuff that's heavy, or you get that perspective from someone like yourself, Bradley, it can, my wife is a nurse, and for a while she worked at the Children's Hospital in the emergency room, and I would have just a terrible day. This is when I was working at my former job at Sony. I would have just a terrible day, and I would come home and she would just say, well, I had a baby die in my arms today. And that washes everything down with perspective. It's like, listen, this is fun. We get to do this. We get to like jump on Amazon and give and help people. We're not, this isn't saving lives necessarily. So, we hope it would somehow in some way, shape, or form. I mean, but let's try to lighten it up a little bit and have some fun with it. And I appreciate your perspective, sir, and I appreciate you being on board here.
Yeah,
hey Chris, and you just brought up something, and before I forget, because I think there's several people that may be watching this show for the first time or watched it before, but a member of our community, Professor Tirado, recently passed away. We didn't know until just last week, and he was a great guy. I know he brought a lot of light to people with his show, and I just want to say, wishing his family, peace in this difficult time, and we're sad that he's no longer with us.
Yeah, I think I say a lot of people have never seen me from the chest down. that have become important in my life, right? And I think there's for us to have built the community that we have built in the virtual world shows that good things can happen on the interwebs, right? It shows that it's not all about eating soap and jumping off of buildings and doing crazy things. It's like you can build real community here. And when one of us is lost, we feel it and we care. And it's like, how's his family doing? How are people that did videos, how are they doing? And you actually care. That goes a long way to humanity, right? Showing who we really are beyond all this stuff, because that's what's going to last, man. What you do for people and how you cared about people. That's what's going to last. So, yeah. And if we could throw in some graphics and a couple of monitors and some gadgets along the way that people like, that's cool too, but we all have the real perspective of what this stuff is,
That's right.
True. That's great. I can't think of a better way to end it. Thank you to everyone who has been here. Rosalinda is just joining us here in the chat. She says, "Hey there, Mr. Jim and Bradley." Apparently, Rosalinda, I am, invisible, but I won't hold it. I won't hold it against you that much. Johnny Kong, thank you. Oh, okay. Rosalinda says she gave me a shout out earlier. My bad, Rosalinda. My bad. Crispy Giles, Monty joined. In it to win it. Tina, thank you for joining us. Of course, those of you on LinkedIn, YouTube, we appreciate you joining. I hope you have been fed like we have today from Mr. Bradley Vinson. Bradley, thank you again so much.
Yes,
and,
thank you so much.
Thank you,
to everyone. As always, don't fear the gear.